a mixed berry crumble. In this bowl, I'm gonna make my crumble. I'm gonna use 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/3 cup of light brown sugar, and I'm also gonna use 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Light brown sugar has more of that molasses flavor, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. You get some molasses and you get tons of sweet. 2/3 cup of old-fashioned rolled oats. Mix it up. What I'm gonna do is just basically macerate some berries and put this crumble on top. So the crumble is kind of like a streusel. You know, it's like sugar, it's flour, it's butter, and it has a little texture because of these oats. All right, we use a pinch of salt, about 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Give it a mix. Now this is what makes a crumble, the butter. So this is very, very cold, unsalted butter. And what I like to do is just use my hands, almost like if you've ever made biscuits before. You break it down with your hands until the butter kind of turns into like a pea size. That's what makes a crumble a really great crumble, is when you get those, big chunks of like oats and sugar. Delicious. So I'm just breaking down my butter, making sure that my mixture is nice and moistened. All right. So I've got my ramekins here and my mixed berries. I have some strawberries, some blackberries, and raspberries. I'm gonna macerate these berries. That's basically just bringing out the natural sweetness with a little lemon juice. I'm also gonna use the zest of a lemon as well to really brighten up this dish. I'm going to use the juice of 1/2 of this lemon and 2/3 cup of granulated sugar. As it bakes, all of this juice is gonna come out of the berries. That's gonna make that sauce. That's what I love about a crumble. I do love the berries, don't get me wrong, but that juice and that crumble, heaven. As the lemon juice kind of gets into those berries, as you see, that juice is starting to come out. That's what macerating is all about. So I'm adding 3 tablespoons of cornstarch to make that sauce. Mix it up with that cornstarch, the lemon juice, sugar, and berries. And I've sprayed each ramekin with some nonstick spray so the fruit does not stick to the bottom of it. All right, I'm going to evenly divide the berries into each of these ramekins. And if you don't have ramekins at home, you can use like a casserole dish or a cast iron skillet. I'm not filling this all the way to the top. What I like to do is come just to that first line, but if you wanna see like that oozing out and that bubbly stuff on top, then you can fill it all the way up to the top. But I like to leave enough room for the crumble. All right, last but not least, that crumble. My favorite part of a mixed berry crumble or crumble of any sort is the crumble. Once that crumble hits that juice, woo-wee. And then it's nice and hot and you put a little ice cream on top. My gosh, oh yeah. I have my oven preheated to 350. I'm gonna bake these off for about an hour. All right, so that's gonna bake. So pretty. I'm good to go. I need to get out of these clothes and get into my dress, and then it's party time.
Summer pudding is basically layers of bread and usually berries, but I kind of want to ramp up the flavor. So I'm going to use French brioche loaf and a mixture of cooked berries and peaches. They'll be really great together. So this is the brioche. It's an egg bread. It's kind of rich. It could be challah. It's the same kind of thing. And I've cut it in 1/2-inch thick slices after I cut the crust off. And this is the peaches and berries all cooked together. It's just gorgeous. I'll show you how I made it. I put a pint of hulled and sliced strawberries into a pan with 1½ cups of sugar, 1/4 cup of water, and cooked them over medium-low heat. After 5 minutes, I added 2 half pints of fresh raspberries, 2 half pints of fresh blueberries, a pound of peeled peaches cut in 1/2-inch dice. I brought everything to a simmer, then I cooked it for another minute, turned off the heat, stirred in another 1/2 pint of raspberries. I added them now to keep them whole. And finally, 2 tablespoons of framboise, which is raspberry liqueur. So, big spoon of fruit and the juices too. It's really important because that gets into the bread. In the bottom, and then a layer of bread. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the bread so that it fits perfectly in one layer. You can even tear it. It doesn't even have to be cut because you want it to end up being like a little cake. You can do this in any kind of a dish. Just remember that the bottom, when you turn it out, becomes the top. So choose something that'll look nice that way. This is gonna be fantastic. I'm just gonna keep going. So I'm just layering fruit and bread all the way to the top of the dish. And a final layer of fruit and syrup using every last drop. With the pudding assembled, I'll cover it loosely with plastic wrap. Put a plate on top, approximately the same diameter as the inside of the dish. Weigh it down with a heavy can to compress the layers, and put it in the fridge to chill overnight. I just want to show you the inside of this. It's incredible. Just cut it like a cake. Wow, love this. It's a great summer dessert. Isn't that fantastic?
My blueberry pie. Very
Butter
easy.
firms up again.
Flour, unsifted. Sugar, salt, a quick little mix. Stop.
look, it's so easy.
So then we're gonna go to the fridge or freezer. The butter has to be really cold and chopped into cubes. We're gonna pulse this until it comes to be little pebbles. And then we're gonna add some milk, 1 yolk. That's it. You're gonna gather that, put it in a roll like that, put there in a plastic wrap in the fridge. Fantastic. Look how beautiful that is. See that?
And it feels so good. This dough really has a nice touch to it.
All right, the main event. You really got to get really good blueberries. Wait till the summer comes to buy them. Flour,
But we've got some really fun varietals.
cornstarch.
Blueberries.
Got to have cornstarch.
Yep.
Salt, cinnamon,
Okay.
and then sugar.
That's
now,
right.
this is the part one. You just want to toss this gently. And the point of this is to really to douse the blueberries in the cornstarch. The cornstarch really is the key to this. Then we're going to add to this some honey,
Interesting.
some vanilla, as much vanilla as humanly possible, some lemon juice, lemon zest. All right. Are you almost ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're just gonna put this all
Perfect
together.
timing.
Now, normally, you'll see a pool of juice in the bottom. There's no pool here, and that's because we put that honey in. All right. Now, really, really well mixed. Beautiful, gorgeous
Yeah, that looks
pie.
fantastic.
And the other rule about making pie is don't drop
smells
anything.
so good.
But you have to overfill it to some
Yep.
extent.
I put it on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how to crimp, you want to crimp, right?
mine off.
And you don't have to get crazy. And then we're just going to cut around the edge. And then, Katie, would you put a couple of sort of little vent holes on top of here? Just a few slits. So you preheat your oven. And I mean seriously preheat your oven, okay?
Should I put it in?
Little egg wash. This is with water. You can put just straight. And then sugar. You need to have a sweet crust. There's a whole school of thought. The crust is really incredible. 425, 15 minutes, center of the oven. Then you reduce it to 375, 60 to 70 minutes. It's a long bake. Take it out, let it rest, at least 2 or 3 hours, or maybe more. You want it to be almost just barely warm or room temperature is the way you want to eat it.
I mean, this is a beauty.
Wow. Lovely.
Who needs to go to the pie shop?
Thank you,
When
Mom.
do that?
That is
Thank you,
summer.
Martha.
Oh.
Should we taste? Are we ready?
I went to her house.
Looking
Oh,
fat.
man,
Wow,
Oh,
baby.
yes.
High and tight.
High and tight.
It's like a haircut.
Just
I'm trying
made
to
a
stay
pie
away
that's
from the
like
pie.
a 12 out of 10, honestly.
We're making some strawberry waffles today. I love the idea of a nice, crispy, steaming hot waffle with lots of whipped cream and fresh strawberries. I just love that flavor. Sometimes, the simplest things are just the best. All right, so we're gonna take about half the strawberries and put them in a food processor because we're gonna make a flavored butter with fresh strawberries and black pepper. Kind of a cool combination. A little peppery, obviously, a little spicy. And then I'm also gonna take, this is actually framboise. It's just a raspberry flavored liqueur and some sugar. We're gonna let this marinate. The sugar will melt. It'll actually make the strawberries taste even more like strawberries. A little sugar really helps the natural flavors of the fruits come out. So we're just gonna fold in the strawberries into our waffle batter after it sits for a little while. All right, so let's make the waffle batter. So we're gonna start with 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Nothing smells better than waffles. It wakes the house up if people are sleeping in late on a good Saturday or Sunday morning. So good. All right, baking powder, 2 teaspoons. Baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon. A tablespoon of sugar. A little bit of salt. All right, those are our dry ingredients. And now for our wet ingredients, we need 3 eggs, a little bit of buttermilk, some butter, and some strawberries. We're making strawberry waffles, everybody. So you need 1 1/3 cups of buttermilk. And then a stick of melted butter, unsalted. That's gonna make our waffles nice and crispy. First, I'm gonna put the wet into the dry, just until it kind of comes together. You don't wanna overmix it. Want a nice tender waffle. Okay. So I'm just gonna try to take just mostly the strawberries and leave the juices in the bottom, because we don't want to thin out our batter too much. We'll put the rest right in there, where we can make the black pepper strawberry butter. Again, we're just gonna fold this in. So we have some strawberries, some black pepper, and then just a smidgen of salt, and then 2 sticks of unsalted butter. I'm gonna make this beautiful flavored strawberry butter. Just gonna put a little bit of honey in here. It's gonna help to smooth out this butter. It will bring out the flavors of the strawberries even more. All right, good. So I'm gonna grab our strawberry butter here. And this is what you're looking for, you know, a nice smooth consistency with a little black pepper in it. That's exactly what it's supposed to taste like. And it's a good thing to serve at room temperature, because you want it to melt really nice and easily when you put it on top of those hot, crispy, crusty waffles. All right, speaking of waffles, let's get some waffles in the iron. You can use some butter. I actually like to use like a good canola spray, just a little bit. Don't fill them up too much. I don't like my waffles to be perfect squares. I like them when they're weird shapes. Just gives it that really sort of homespun look to it. You know, somebody didn't take these out and put them in a toaster. And really what I'm trying to send home here is, this is all about the strawberries. We want to taste strawberries through the waffles, on top of the waffles. Every time like you take a bite of something, you want great strawberry flavor, because that's just gonna make this dish so much better. All right, don't touch the waffle iron. My waffles are about to come out of my waffle iron. I love this moment. Please be nice and crispy. Yes, look at them, they're so beautiful. You see how they're kind of like weird shapes? I love that, okay? See how nice and crusty they are on the outside? It's all good. Oh yeah, looking good. A little bit hot, it's okay, that's what we want, hot waffles. We don't want cold waffles. I'm gonna take a little bit of my strawberry butter and start to melt right away. So what I do is I kind of tuck the strawberry butter right in there. Put a little bit on top so it starts to melt. More strawberries. Those macerated strawberries, beautiful. Just gorgeous. A little bit of that powdered sugar. Even supermarkets these days are bringing in fresher and fresher produce. So go to the store, get inspired. Like for me, I see beautiful strawberries, I think about what I can do with them. Can I make a cocktail with them? Definitely. Can I put them on pancakes or waffles? Absolutely. And it just really livens up your classic waffle dish. And then this is fresh whipped cream with lemon curd, which is like a lemon custard almost, and some lemon zest. You can get this recipe on the website. All you need to do is go to cookingchanneltv.com and go to our brunch page. I love the idea of lemon and strawberries together. And of course, what's wrong with a little bit of whipped cream? Look at that waffle. Come on. You want to put some mint on there, you can. Actually, I don't think we need it. The amazing aroma of the strawberries are incredible. The crispiness of those waffles. That's strawberry brunch heaven right there on a plate. Fantastic. And the lemon and the strawberry go so really nicely together. Those are dangerous. Good stuff.
I'm cooking blackberry ham pies. They're cute, they're simple, and they're very easy to transport. So I'm cooking down about 2 cups of blackberries. Blackberry jam is my jam. So I'm adding in 2/3 cup of sugar, and I'm gonna mix the sugar with the blackberry. Just gonna let it cook down. But what I will do is speed up the process and start smashing. I'm using a potato smasher just to smash up the blackberries. So pretty. And I'm gonna just let this reduce until it gets to the consistency I like, almost like a jam. All right, I'm gonna speed up the process a little more. Why not? Because we can. I'm gonna make a slurry. Slurry is simply some type of liquid in cornstarch or flour. I'm gonna use cornstarch. And wait, before I do that, got these pretty lemons over there. I'm gonna use a little bit of zest. And I'm not gonna discard the lemon because I'm gonna actually use it in my slurry. And I'm using 1 tablespoon of cornstarch as a thickening agent. I've added in the slurry, And now it's gotten nice and thick. Let me show you. See how thick that is? So I've got 2 store-bought pie crusts. They come 2 in the pack. I've let them sit out for a little bit because if you don't, they'll be really hard and you can't move around, they won't be flexible. And I'm just gonna cut rounds. You can freehand it, but I like to use a bowl as my guide, and I would say this is about 5 inches, okay? It's gonna make about 3 circles for each pie crust, and you'll have some left over. Don't throw that away because you can use it for more dough. Just using a small knife here, I'm gonna go around the circles, letting the knife do the job. Lift up your bowl, and look what you got. So that's 1. I'm gonna get 2 more out of that. I got 6 discs here, and I told you, I'm not gonna throw this away. I'm gonna reflour my surface. I'm gonna get a rolling pin. My pin is nice and floured. I'm hoping to get 2 more discs out of this. I'm gonna transfer it to a sheet pan. I've lined my sheet pans with parchment paper so my pies won't stick. My blackberry jam has been cooling. I'm gonna put it down here. And I'm using an egg wash because it's gonna help seal the pie so that blackberry jam doesn't seep out. And it also is gonna help the crust flake up. And because I'm using raw sugar on top, it's gonna help keep that sugar on top of the pies. 1 tablespoon of the blackberry jam. Blackberry cheesecake filling inside of a pie crust. Whew. And I'm using the egg wash only on the edges to help seal it up. I'm just gonna fold over the side that I did not put the compote and cheese. Close it up just like that. I'm gonna make it really cute and add little crimps. And that's how you seal a hand pie. I'm gonna put a little egg wash on top. And now I'm gonna vent the pie, 3 little slits in the center. And that's so the air can circulate through the pie so it won't puff up. So the dough and the filling are always baking together. Last thing is my raw sugar. Adds a little crunch to it, gives it a little bit more sweetness. These are done. I got the oven preheated to 375. I'm gonna let them bake for 20 to 25 minutes. They look so beautiful before they're baked. I can't wait to see how they look when they're done. Right, it's been about 25 minutes and those pies are beautiful. Nice and brown. That sugar is nice and shiny.
My friends Eli Zabar and David Ziff are coming for breakfast this morning. And these are serious food people. Eli has a bread business, especially food stores, restaurants. He's a fantastic cook. And David Ziff is an amazing caterer. So the pressure's on. So I thought I would make them pancakes, but I mean, I hate making pancakes one at a time. So I'm gonna show you how to make them in the oven. So first I need 3 eggs. I'm just gonna whip them a little bit. Okay, next I need 1/2 cup of milk. Okay, I'm gonna lower the speed and then add flour and all the other things that make it a pancake. So 1/2 cup of flour, and just add it slowly so it gets mixed in. You don't want lumpy pancakes. So 1 teaspoon of orange zest to make the pancake delicious. Teaspoon of vanilla. This makes about 4 pancakes. Next is 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And that's the batter. I mean, that's pretty easy. And now I'm gonna put them in gratin dishes and put them all in the oven together. I put the gratin dishes in the oven and let a teaspoon of butter melt in each one. So the gratin's really hot and the butter melts. Just wanna make sure that it covers the bottom of each dish. We don't want these pancakes sticking. Perfect. And I'm gonna take the batter and pour 1/4 of the batter into each one. This is gonna puff up just like a popover. And then it's gonna settle down when it comes out of the oven. I'm gonna fill the whole thing with red berries. It's just delicious and dramatic. I can do it all at once in the oven. Okay, into the oven, 425 degrees for 12 to 14 minutes, and you're not gonna believe what these look like. These are tri-berry pancakes, and I've got the fruit all ready. It's just a cup of sliced strawberries, same amount of raspberries, and a cup of blueberries, plus a tablespoon of granulated sugar. Toss it together, and it's perfect. Ah, how fabulous do they smell. And they look great. I love the way they puff up. Isn't that fantastic? You can really smell the orange. Okay, I'm gonna fill them with berries. So cool the way the edges get puffed up and they crisp. Everybody's gonna have their own. There are 3 of us and 4 pancakes. I wonder what's gonna happen to the rest. You never know. It's always nice to have an extra one. And breakfast is served. These look great.
I'm not sure if I've ever told you this before, but potluck is absolutely my favorite kind of food. I love it because everybody brings their favorite dishes. You can fill your plate with like 50 different things, and everything is so delicious. I topped the cheesecake with this beautiful blackberry topping. I'll tell you how I made it. So I threw a pile of plump, ripe blackberries into a pan with sugar and water. Then I brought it to a boil and simmered it for 4 or 5 minutes. Then, to thicken it slightly, I mixed up a slurry of cornstarch and water and stirred it into the blackberry mixture. Then I boiled it for another minute or so, and when it was cooled, I poured it over the cheesecake and popped it into the fridge to set. I'm hoping the foil will just lift the cheesecake right out, and it worked. I love it when that happens. And then I'll just cut it into really neat squares. I've got a really sharp serrated knife, and that makes it easy to slice through the blackberries on top. The other benefit to cutting the cheesecake into squares and putting it on a platter is that sometimes you can sneak a piece and no one will ever know. All right, all cut into squares. Now I'll just take the squares and get them on the platter. It's gonna be hard for me to stay away from these all day today.
Easy strawberry and raspberry Danish.
All right.
Now, they sell croissant dough. Usually you can get it with the perforations, but they also now just sell it in a sheet.
Wow.
Okay,
What
so
sheet to do?
if you could please come over here. You might not even know how to roll it out. So look, you see that lip right there?
Yeah.
You're gonna roll it towards you, and you see these little perforations?
Yeah.
Just pinch at the perforations to make sure when we roll this up, it doesn't come apart, okay? Now, the next ingredient is going to be some freeze-dried fruit. And then just pound it out, you know? All right, so that's all you've gotta do, and I'll show you what it's gonna look like. You're gonna get little bits of sand, some small pebbles, and every once in a while, you're gonna get something that didn't quite get crushed completely, and that's okay. It's giving it personality, okay? Now, over the top, just take some of that pounded, freeze-dried fruit all over the place. This is the most amazing hack. So this brown sugar is gonna help rehydrate, and then a little granulated sugar. Okay, so this is a life hack. I do this a lot when I need like little tiny bits of butter, just kind of grate it over the top.
That's so smart.
That wrapper on as a handle.
Yeah, so then now the game is just to roll it up. If you start this cold, it's very easy to roll up. You won't have to worry about any flour or anything like that. Tightly. Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I mean,
Nice tight roll. And then literally just, we're gonna make 8 out of this. So just kind of go in half and half.
Good.
I've got an 8x8 right here that's just been cooking sprayed down on the bottom and the sides. I've got the oven set at 375. Just about 15 minutes after that.
crapple, boom.
Done. Now, you know what we always like is a little bit of a glaze over
Gotta
the top.
glaze it. Ugh.
So very simply, you're just gonna get some powdered sugar. Gonna add in a little bit of this dust. And then if you have some lemon juice, some water, some orange juice, even a little bit of milk or heavy cream, that's all you need. A tiny pinch of salt as well is nice. And there you have it.
When I have adults and kids coming for dinner, I always want to do something that both of them love. I'm gonna make a strawberry rhubarb crisp. So I've got 4 cups of strawberries, and I cut them in 1-inch dice, which means cutting most of them in half. 4 cups of rhubarb. I was really lucky to get really tender rhubarb. It's in season for such a short time, but when it is, I love it. 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And next I'm gonna do 1.5 teaspoons of grated orange zest. And then later I'm gonna put the orange actually into it. One of the things I love about crisp is you can make any kind of crisp. And it's really seasonal. When apples are in, I make apple crisp. In the summer, I make peaches and blueberries or peaches and raspberries. It's a classic nursery dessert, but it's really delicious. Okay, so that's gotta be at least 1.5 teaspoons. Right into the mixture. And then to thicken it a little bit, I'm actually gonna take the juice of the orange and some cornstarch, kind of like making a pie. Just something to absorb all the juices, and so it thickens it a little bit. So this should be about 1/2 cup of freshly squeezed orange juice and a tablespoon of cornstarch. It's a good idea to dissolve it in advance so you don't get any lumps in the fruit. Lumps, not a good idea. I'm gonna pour it right in and mix it all together. Let's give it a big toss. It's really important to cut the fruit in sort of big chunks because you don't want to end up with jam for this. You want to end up with fruit crisp. So this is the crumble topping, which is sometimes called a crisp. 1 cup of flour. I use pretty much the same kind of topping for each one. It's just the perfect amount of crumble and sweetness, and it's a good foil for the fruit. 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Even sweet things need salt. 1 cup of oatmeal. I just think it gives it a really nice crunch. Okay, give it a little stir. I love the texture of the crispy oatmeal against the sweet fruit. So next is butter. I need 12 tablespoons of butter. I'm just gonna dice it up and then mix it in. Into the bowl. And just mix it in until the butter's like the size of peas. Okay, that should do it. So this is what it looks like in the bowl. It's just big crumbles. And all I have to do now is just put it on top of the fruit. Just distribute it evenly on the top. You don't really have to cover the entire thing, but I think there's enough of the crumble topping that you will. This dish is about 11 inches long, 8 inches wide, and about 2.5 inches deep. And it's perfect for this. 350 degrees for about an hour, and it's gonna be bubbly and juicy and crisp on the top. Okay, strawberry rhubarb crisp.
Look at
that. Wow, how's that? It's really hot. And a little vanilla ice cream. Whoa.
You're gonna eat that all up?
And would Carter like some?
Yes, please. I'll eat his.
Is that good? Yeah.
It probably won't surprise you one bit when I tell you that I love ice cream. It's true. I never met an ice cream flavor I didn't like, and I think homemade ice cream is especially delicious. Now, strawberry ice cream happens to be one of my favorite homemade flavors. It's so delicious. Now, the ice cream starts with a basic custard, and I use the same recipe no matter what kind of ice cream I'm making. I'll start by pouring 3 cups of half and half into a saucepan, and then I'll add 2 cups of sugar. Is it any wonder homemade ice cream is so delicious? Now, I'll turn on the heat, and I'll just stir this to get the heat going. And while that warms up, I've got a vanilla bean. Vanilla bean is something I always add to homemade ice cream. It adds just amazing flavor. It is one of my go-to ingredients, and it goes right into the half and half and sugar mixture. Now, I'll just stir this until it gets really, really hot before I move on. Now, Lad and the kids love ice cream just as much as I do, of course. Anytime I have a carton of the homemade stuff in the freezer, it disappears like that. The half and half mixture is nice and piping hot. That's exactly how I want it. Now, I have 9 egg yolks, and I whisked them just for a few minutes until they were nice and light yellow. That's the perfect color. Now I'm gonna temper these egg yolks. I'll take a ladle of the hot mixture, and while I whisk the yolks, I'll just gradually drizzle it in really, really slowly. We all know what happens if we add eggs to really hot liquid, so tempering the yolks just slowly brings them up to temperature. The bowl feels warm, and that's perfect. So now I can just pour it right in without any fear. Nobody should make ice cream with fear. Now I'm just gonna slowly cook this for a few minutes. So when it's thick enough to coat the spoon, it's done. Then it just gets poured through a fine mesh strainer into a pitcher. And this is where things get even better. 3 cups of heavy cream. It just gets added to the custard and stirred in. And that's the custard all done. Now it just needs to go into the fridge for a couple of hours. Now I've got to turn this into strawberry ice cream, and I'll do that by making a strawberry puree. I've just got a good amount of hulled strawberries, and I'll add a little bit of sugar, just about 2 tablespoons or so. The custard is pretty sweet, so the strawberries don't need much. Now I'll just get the lid on, let the blender go. What a gorgeous sight. That should be good. I mean, the blender is just bright reddish pink, and just wait till you see what it does to this gorgeous custard. I'll just pour it in and swirl it around. I love it when it looks like a pink and yellow marble. Oh gosh, it's so pretty. Now, I really love the natural pink color. If you want to bump it up a little bit more, you can add some natural red food dye, just a drop or 2. Now, I'll let the ice cream maker do the really hard part. I'll just pour in about half of this. This maker freezes about half of this quantity at a time. But that's okay, it is totally worth the wait. Get the lid on. Now, it's just about patience. My machine takes about an hour to turn the custard into ice cream. Then it's just a matter of getting it into a freezer-safe container, covering it, and putting it into the freezer for a few hours until it's frozen. Then I just get the second half of the ice cream into the machine to freeze, and when it's done its hour, it also goes into the container. Then the lid goes on, and it goes into the freezer with the other batch. And now the moment of strawberry ice cream truth. I'm gonna get a couple big scoops of this. Freezing it for several hours really gives it that great firm consistency, just the way I like my ice cream. Now, the ice cream is beautifully pink, so I'll just pop up the color by sprinkling on some chopped strawberries. Oh, how pretty is this? I cannot wait another second. I'm gonna dig in. Do me a favor, don't tell my kids this is in the freezer. Let's just keep it between us. So good.